Aloha, Nithyanandam. Gonna start with the Sakura Vandanam. Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham Kevalam Jnanamurtim Dvandvatitam Gagana Sajisham Tattvamasya Delaksham Ekam Nityam Vimalamachalam Sarvadi Sakshi Bhutam Bhavatitam Jiganarahitam Sakuram Tam Namami. Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. Just thought I'd do a quick video since it is Black Friday and the peak of holiday shopping and season is in full swing. And I wanted to cover about crystals. Well, it's sharing. I'm mostly talking to those who I initiate because you don't need crystals, right? I know that you want to give gifts depending on what spiritual, religious background you choose to, because when I initiate, I don't have any. It's a birthright, right? There's no, I don't judge, no discrimination, none of that, right? But with third eye and Kundalini initiation, you don't need crystals. I actually recommending to wear Rudrakshas. That's better. Because you're not damaging the earth, right? There's all kinds of reasons, but fundamentally you don't need to, especially if you roll your breakfast. If you roll your breakfast, right, you are literally electrocuting your life from when you wake up with the sparks of life, the sparks of Mahadeva. And so you don't need crystals, and actually it'll end up unbalancing all your chakras, because when the Kundalini goes up, it spins and clears everything all the way up, whether depending on your sensitivities to energies and whatnot. So if you are selling crystals for livelihood, please label what mantra, what deity, what religious background. All of those things actually matter. What matters even more is if you have thoughts, right? Those get programmed into crystals, and so it's better to have things that you do yourself, or get things from those who have no thoughts. It's the same as energy healing. So the reason why I'm covering this, not just because it's Black Friday. For me personally, I'm getting ready for Devi. Yep. So this is my lamp I have for Devi. Got blessed with some beautiful things to give as offering to Devi. Me personally, I don't wear jewelry and such beyond my mala, or essentially Rudraksha. Don't need anything else. But like I was saying, when you when you're purchasing for yourself, right? So that's the reason why I did it, so I can show you for the clearing, right? Because sometimes people get inspired, or cosmos in that oneness, they make some beautiful things, and that's something that you want. There's nothing wrong with that. When you have items in your home that are of different vibrations, right? So it's kind of like knowing what it's vibrating at, right? So so this is so there's like introverts, right? So introverts are extremely sensitive to energies, and so that's why they don't like to be in places where there's a lot of people. Why? So fundamentally, if there is a pool of water that's clear, right? And introverts prefer that clear pond and stay in that clear pond. When there's more people, imagine each drop and then the ripples is what happens in that pool where there's a lot of people in there. So it just creates perceiving waves, but those are individual drops or waves on the ocean or whatever, right? So when introverts are in a room or in a space like that, right, of people, they're not comfortable. But similarly, taking that concept with crystals or whatever you have, right, that you're gonna, when you're bringing home, sometimes bringing home some crystals is like putting a rabbit with a lion, right? Rabbit's not gonna make it. So being conscious and aware of that, and also in being full disclosure and being very clear and clean business. Also, if you are selling crystals and energizing them, it's best to not just label whatever you made, but what context and intention. But the other thing too, so like if someone's making things and they're going through a tough spot in their life, that just touching it, because there's no boundaries touching, right? So anyway, so if you like something that someone made and you want to bring it home and you want to clear it, simply you just have to put the item in your hand, you clasp like this, and then you clear it. You can power manifest, right? Go and drop into that space. Drop into that space and clear it. You can imagine light. You can imagine a spark. Or, have a Big Bang explosion to clear it out. Because anything and everything can be programmed, reprogrammed by who is taking care, right? Things function different by who is the caretaker. Not just animal behavior patterns or children's behavior patterns or whatever. Everything you have is programmed by you. So with that full responsibility, and your team, right? Whatever team you have, that's your team, and the team that shows up. And my team is on the full. If I ask for something, whatever the cosmos sends, that's what it is, right? So yeah, it's always best to do things from that no thought zone. No thought zone. So the things that I wanted to talk about, it gets challenging because the social construct globally is not geared towards enlightenment for all, and so it puts many, due to colonizers and their globalization, right? And some of the things that I've run into is the British flag is all over the place, right? With their rape, murder, genocide, right? Bait and switch with their treaties. It gets very interesting to try and grapple with this, because everyone is divine Everyone is that child of God. Everyone is Paramashiva. And so you've got all of these capitalistic agendas, right? To, and not just the capitalistic agendas. Everything is so warped. And then even down to their capitalistic agendas, degrading, people degrading themselves, right? The worst is, you know, having women degrade themselves, the actual temple of life, right? More sacred than all the holy places, churches, and all human achievement combined, more holy than all of that, right? For momentary psychosis that's perpetuated, right? What are we perpetuating? How to grapple with this? Because even down to the healers, right? Energy healers or whatever, remaining in the no thought zone. Yeah. How did that? It is what it is. So this is what came out. Because I wanted to empower those who I've initiated. And because I don't expect anybody to do this or that, right? I'm just here to bless all with the birthright. And whatever happens is supposed to happen in that complete trust and unclutching where it's supposed to go and how it's supposed to. And trust the innate intelligence, specifically of mothers, right? So, total trust in that. So yeah, if you're buying crystals for yourself or as gifts, if you're selling crystals, and that should be standard standard knowledge, especially in spirituality and on the spiritual side, right? Should be standard knowledge. If you didn't know, now you know. Now you know how to clear it, you know what to ask, so you know what you're bringing home. Yeah. Keep your space in your flow. Okay? All of us have different flows. That's why different religions and different whatnot. Oh yeah, that's right. About food, right? Feeding people. So similarly, like in that rainbow spectrum, right? Imagine every religion is a different color. And based on that color and what you're feeding to give, that's what's going to be. Right? That vibration, context, intention, vibration. There's no right or wrong. It's just a different energy. There's so much obsession of, we're trying to make everybody purple or everybody red. Now I'm over here like, no, can't do that. I'm not going to do it, and I can't do it. I will say I have my preference, but it doesn't matter, right? Third eye Kundalini initiation. Broad spectrum of Amakua, Ishtadevata, God, Goddess, ancestors, belief systems, whatever, 100% works. Because I'm not, right? It's a lifestyle. I do share. It's a lifestyle. Right? If you're not rolling your breakfast every day, I know who's rolling their breakfast and who's not, based off of the questions that happen and the things that happen. I know who is rolling their breakfast and who is not. And I'm not going to impose a lifestyle, because Hindus don't do that, right? Hinduism is an umbrella term for 10,000 plus indigenous Aboriginal cultures and their lifestyles. Hindus don't convert because it's a lifestyle that you personally have to choose to live every single day. If nobody's going to hold a gun to your head to do it, right? And so there's a lot of people out there doing yoga. If you're doing yoga and you're calling it yoga, you're a living, practicing Hindu, and you should say, yes, I'm Hindu. Otherwise, it's intellectual theft. Just because Hinduism is open source, right? You don't have to pay royalties or any kind of anything, because it's open source. Thus, if you're not going to give credit where credit is due and stand and be like, yes, I'm Hindu, you're committing intellectual theft. And then there are those who are like, well, I'm just taking this side and we're not going to go the spiritual side and whatever. But spirituality is just energy. Then that means you are living theft. Don't call it yoga. Go call it something else, like stretching or whatever. Don't call it yoga. Once you call it yoga, it implies, because yoga is a Hindu ritual. It's a ritual with 12 components. So don't do it, right? If you're not going to be fully integrated and honest about it. Yeah. There's a huge market and industry on and all around yoga. So, just so you know about that. Crystals, yoga, right? Even the talismans are the same. Malas, talismans are the same. So that's why I like Hinduism, because it's pretty straightforward and clear. We have our deities, and you know what they are, right? Right, Ganesha. There's no questioning, right? There's no, and we celebrate all of them. We're not like, it's a ecosystem of inclusivity. That's Hinduism. And everybody's unique. So one of the things that I feel empowered, not just as a woman or as a person, but as a woman, right? We have the right to start our own lineage, our own sampradaya, as per what works for us. And it doesn't matter, right? Each person is wired differently, and that's why I love Hinduism. It's a spiritual supermall to go figure out how you're wired. That's all that it is. Without any kind of, right? Like any mother, you have kids, you don't know what's going to come out. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. And no people are the same. Even twins, they have different fingerprints, everything. Most of it is different. Even as closely, whatever, there's still differences, because we are unique and we're all uniquely connecting to the cosmos, Paramashiva, the great I am, the creator, whatever word you want to use for the whole entirety, right? All of us are wired differently. And to straitjacket individual subjective truths is spiritual terrorism, and it gets very frustrating Because that's all I see. We have spiritual terrorists all over the place. All over the place. And I'm like, wow. Yeah, no. And then when there's no box, because I operate with no box. The box doesn't exist. That freaks people out because they've been programmed to be enslaved. Not just society, but spiritually also, right? The vast majority of, right? You're not supposed to do that or whatever and whatever. I'm just like, whoa, that's your relationship. That's not my relationship, right? And they're only doing it because they were abused as such, right? They were abused as such. And then there's a huge misunderstanding, right? When you make things more beautiful or more beautiful experience versus people who are tearing things down. No, well, yeah, going back, I'm going to go back to the whole British thing, the colonizers and that British flag, which is everywhere. So one more thing I'm, going down to take a look at as well, right? British colonizers. That mental setup, which is in their DNA. And just like they can't see the bottom eyelash, vast majority of people can't see the bottom eyelash. It's there. Can't see it. Right? Moksha. The suffering, right? Moksha for all. Anyway. Yeah. I'm done. Aloha. Nithyanandaya.